Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our special meeting of West Grey Council on April 1st, 2020. This is our first electronic meeting for the Municipality of West Grey. I am calling this meeting to order. I am confirming all members of Council are present through their login. I don't have a screen. This is an online meeting using audio only. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the West Grey website, the website being www.westgrey.com. The video will be posted courtesy of Lincoln Telecom. The audio video, that is. There is no imaging on this particular meeting recording. The technology of this meeting is being managed by staff. Please refrain from clicking buttons throughout the meeting unless prompted. If you get disconnected at any time, you can call in by using the following number: 1-647-558-0588. I will say that again, 1-647-558-0588. and enter the meeting ID, which is 467-695-430. Again, 467-695-430 to join through the telephone. So you've got the dial-in number and the ID to connect with this meeting via telephone. So before we go any further, I'd ask our Director of Finance and Treasurer, Carrie Mighton, to give an overview of some of the key points for this morning's meeting.
Okay, so members of council have been briefed on the use of the various features of Zoom meetings and will be raising their hands to speak, using the green checkmark button to vote in favor of a motion, or using the red X button to vote against. Each member of council will be called upon to also verbally confirm their vote for the benefit of any guest who called in rather than joined us online. Regarding audience participation, for this meeting, members of the public were invited to submit comments or questions in advance. We did not receive any submissions. However, there is an opportunity later in the agenda for public participation. I will outline that process once we get there at that point. If you have any technical issues and you are logged in on the computer, you can send a chat message to Lindsay Glazier, Clerk's office, during the meeting for assistance.
Thank you, Director Mighton. We are now on item 2 of our agenda, which is declarations of pecuniary interest, direct or indirect. Members of council, do you have any pecuniary interests? Please identify by raising your hand. I am not seeing any on the screen. Certainly at any time, if you identify that you have a conflict, please let us know by raising your hand. Well, thank you very much. We are moving on to item 3. Item 3, comment period. Director Mighton, you have already identified that there have been no submissions for participation on this item. Thank you very much. We are now on to item 4, staff reports. You could follow along on the agenda, which is posted on screen. We have one report from our clerk, Clerk Mark Turner. The report title is Amendment to Council Committee Procedure Bylaw, number 20-2018 as amended. Clerk Turner, please. Oh, did they even hear me?
Yeah, no, yeah, I could hear you, but I had to unmute you. Okay, you're okay, Mark.
Good morning. As you're aware, the province of Ontario declared an emergency due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Subsequently, the Municipality of West Grey and all lower tier Grey County municipalities, including the County of Grey and quite a few other municipalities in Ontario, followed suit, declaring an emergency. To facilitate council and committee meetings, the province enacted amending legislation on March 19th to amend the Municipal Act through what is called the Municipal Emergency Act 2020 to permit electronic meetings without a quorum of council being present. Just to note that in the council and committee procedure bylaw, we do not permit electronic meetings as a right. So this amending the legislation, if passed through bylaw 27 of 2020, which is on the agenda, will permit the municipality to proceed with their council meetings and committee meetings when deemed appropriate through electronic meetings and without a quorum of council being present. So bylaw 27 of 2020 will again permit that to occur. I will note that even though bylaw 27 of 2020 will permit electronic meetings for council and committees, it is not recommended at this time that committee meetings will be held, at least for the next few weeks, due to the other urgent matters that need to be addressed because of the pandemic, and obviously the staff workload as well. A mover and seconder is not needed for this report, as the bylaw 27 of 20 will deal with that for moving and seconding. So if there's any questions, we can take those.
Thank you, Clerk Turner, for that report. Members of council, are there any questions with regard to the report from Clerk Turner? I am Councillor Hutchinson. Please wait. We'll have you unmuted. Councillor Hutchinson, please go ahead.
Yes, good morning. I'm just wondering if we could have that report show up on the screen, please.
I'm sorry, it's going to take me a minute to find it because we are only sharing the agenda as noted in the email that we sent out.
Okay, thank you. I think for this particular meeting, we've just prepared for the agenda, but for the agenda pages, for future meetings, we will have the reports available on screen, but certainly note that the full agenda is available on our West Grey website. Okay, thank you very much, Councillor.
Thank you.
Anything? Okay, anything further, Councillor Hutchinson? Thank you very much. Anything further, members of council? Seeing none, I am going to call the vote on this. So, sorry, I am just practicing for when we get into the bylaws. So I'm just, thank you very much for that. So there is no mover and seconder required as per our procedural bylaw. So moving on to bylaws. This is item 5, bylaws for first, second, and third reading. Proposed bylaw 27-2020. Turner, please.
Be it resolved that bylaw 27 of 2020, being a bylaw to amend the Municipality of West Grey procedure bylaw 20-2018 as amended, due to emergency legislation passed by the province on March 19th, 2020, that shall allow for electronic participation in both open and closed council, committees, and local boards, and such members shall be counted in determining whether or not a quorum of members is present, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book.
Members of council, I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. For a mover, Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Deputy Mayor Hutchison puts a motion forward to accept this.
Thank you. Councillor Shea.
Councillor Shea, I second the motion.
Thank you very much. Could you please clear your screens, members of council? Thank you. Is there any questions on this particular bylaw and the motion before us? Thank you. Seeing none. Clerk Turner, please.
I should just communicate for all that these electronic meetings are intended to be a temporary situation until the COVID-19 pandemic subsides. And at that time, then obviously we'll go back to the regular conducting of business, such as including obviously the public being able to attend at chambers as well as council itself.
Thank you, Clerk Turner. Certainly, as part of this bylaw, the reason that we were able to do this is under extraordinary circumstances as an emergency being declared locally or provincially, following the Emergency Management and Civilian Protection Act, or the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act, we are able to, this bylaw be passed, we will, should this bylaw be passed, we will be able to conduct our business electronically. Once the declaration of emergency has been terminated, we will go back to our normal process, and I appreciate the clarification that you provided to us, Clerk Turner. I see that there is a question. Councillor Herger, please.
Yes, so the first point you had just clarified is that when the emergency concludes, then this is not an option. It reads to me that we are actually amending our procedural bylaw to allow for it, and it doesn't actually say that there's a conclusion, which I wish we all knew what date that conclusion would be. But would we write in there that it concludes with the emergency order from the province or from West Grey concluding, or we're leaving it just open? And at that point, doesn't it just leave it open forever? Like if next year we're done with COVID, it still has amended our procedural bylaw to allow for it. Doesn't mean that we will make it practice, but it could be allowed for.
Right. So what I'm going to do is have Clerk Turner respond to it, and then I will speak to it after. Clerk Turner, please.
I suppose that is possible. It will depend on the province. If they do wish to remain that as an option, perhaps they will continue to allow that happening, or they may just rescind or repeal that legislation. And then, of course, then the requirement would stand that you'd have to have at least a quorum of council presence. So that's something we will learn through time, the province's intent. But yes, that until the province provides that direction, we can continue in this vein. And of course, at least from the electronic meeting perspective, with or without the quorum question, that is something that certainly could be considered by council to permit that. And then again, if the province still allows municipal councils to participate without a quorum of council being physically present, then that's something that council may want to discuss and see if they can decide if they feel that is appropriate or not at that time.
Thank you, Clerk Turner, but certainly the item before us is dealing with meetings being conducted during a state of emergency. Are there any other questions are there any other questions from members of council? Seeing none, I will now call the vote. And how I will be doing this is I will say all those in favor, and if you are in favor, please raise your hand, and I will work with Director Mighton to have you unmuted so that you could state your vote. And then I will say all those opposed, and we will go through that process again, and then it will be determined on how the vote has been voted on. So the motion before us, all those in favor, please indicate with your check marks. All right. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Director Mighton, I'm going to say the name of the individual, member of council, and then if you could unmute them so they could clearly state their vote for in favor, starting with myself. Yes, I am in favor of this. Councillor Hamilton.
Councillor Hamilton, yes.
Councillor Hergert.
Yeah. Councillor Hergert, yes.
Councillor Hutchinson.
Councillor Hutchison, yes.
Councillor Shea.
Councillor Shay, yes.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, yes.
Councillor Townsend.
Councillor Townsend, yes.
So the vote has been carried unanimously. Let the record reflect that. Thank you very much. We are moving on to our next bylaw, proposed bylaw, 28-2020. Clerk Turner, please.
Be it resolved that bylaw 28-2020, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the April 1st, 2020 council meeting, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book.
Thank you, Clerk Turner. Is there a mover for this motion? Councillor Hamilton? Okay. So I'm going to first take a question before I move any further, but it will be Councillor Hamilton and Councillor Hergert, potentially for the mover seconder. Councillor Townsend.
Yes, I would move that motion.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Councillor Townsend. I've already identified it will be Councillor Hamilton and Hergert, but thank you very much for that. Councillor Hutchinson.
I was going to move the motion, but that's fine.
Okay, very good. And you know what? It is good to know that through this electronic process, everyone on council is very active in our deliberation. Councillor Hamilton, are you moving the motion?
Councillor Hamilton, yes, I'll move the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Hergert, are you seconding the motion?
Councillor Hergert seconds the motion.
Thank you very much for that. Are there any questions with regard to this proposed bylaw 28-2020? If so, please raise your hand. Seeing none, I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor of this motion, please indicate by the check mark. All right, I will start this. As mayor, I am voting in favor of this bylaw. Councillor Hamilton.
Councillor Hamilton, yes.
Councillor Hutchinson.
Councillor Hutchison, yes.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, yes.
Councillor Shea.
Councillor Shay, yes.
Councillor Hergert.
Councillor Hergert, yes.
Councillor Townsend.
Councillor Townsend, yes.
The motion has been carried unanimously. Let the record reflect that. Thank you very much. We are now swiftly moving on to item 6, which is question period. Director Mighton, could you please assist with the question?
Okay, so members of the public who wish to participate during the question period, which is now, may participate in one of three ways. If you've logged into the meeting with your computer, you can submit a question using the chat function, which is likely located at the bottom of your screen. Type your name and your question into the chat and send the message to Carrie. Questions will be placed in the sequence in which they were received and would be read out by myself. The second option is if you've logged into the meeting with your computer and you would like to speak to council, then you can click the raise your hand button, again located in the bottom of your screen. And when it is your turn, I will indicate that you have been unmuted. You may state your name and ask your question. Finally, if you have joined the meeting on the telephone and would like to speak to council, if you press *9, this will raise your hand. When it is your turn, I will indicate that you have been unmuted and you may state your name and ask your question. Okay.
Thank you very much. So I'm looking for any questions from our citizens. Director Mighton, do we have an indication that anyone would like to ask a question pertaining to this agenda? All right. Just one more time, Director Mighton, I'm not seeing anyone on the screen in our chamber. Is there anyone that you can indicate that wishes to speak to item 6, which is our question period? Seeing none, thank you very much. We are now looking for an adjournment on item 7. Clerk Turner, could you first read the motion that would relate to an adjournment?
Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 9:24 a.m. to meet again on April 7th, 2020 at 9 a.m. or at the call of the mayor.
Thank you very much. I am looking for a mover and a seconder. Please indicate that. Councillor Hutchinson,
Yes, I move that we adjourn.
Councillor Townsend.
I second that motion.
Could you state your name?
Councillor Townsend, I second that motion.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on our adjournment motion? Seeing none, thank you very much. All those in favor? All right, as mayor, I'm voting in favor of the adjournment. Thank you. Councillor Hutchinson,
Yes, I'm in favor.
your name?
Councillor Hutchison's in favor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Hamilton, are you in favor of this? And please state your name.
Councillor Hamilton, in favor.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, state your name. Are you in favor of this motion?
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, in favor.
Councillor Shea, are you in favor of this motion? State your name.
Councillor Shea, yes.
Councillor Hergert, are you in favor of this motion? State your name.
Councillor Hergert, yes.
Councillor Townsend, state your name. Are you in favor of this motion?
Councillor Townsend, yes.
Thank you very much. The motion does carry unanimously. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you and well done to everyone. And for those listening in, we very much appreciate your participation by listening to our deliberations. Thank you.